Hey everybody, Elizabeth Varian here, 12 minutes late, and it's hilarious because of our topic. So hopefully people start showing up. They didn't leave fully. Um, we have to do my camera from my laptop as Facebook, and my webcam, though they were talking earlier, decided to stop talking. So, and hopefully I stop getting the blue circle of death from Word document here. So say hello if you're there. If you're not, no worries. I'm going to record this and keep it so everybody can get it. Again, it's hilarious because of the actual topic. So, how is everybody doing? Do we have anybody here yet? I'm going to wait just a couple minutes just because I know I was having some issues. Monday was complete, total technology challenge day. I, as a webmaster, cannot have technology challenging me, but we did find things that we could do that weren't needing total computer connection. But earlier, hi Debbie, yay, someone's here. So, you know, Abraham Hicks always teaches to don't go against the stream, flow with the stream. So that's what we did. And even though I tested everything earlier, all technology was working perfectly fine, nothing changed, and poof, it stopped. So why do I find that hilarious? Well, this week, I am going to be teaching the third law of manifestation first, and that is the law of allowing. The law of letting things be, the law of no judgment, and the law that you're going to learn tons about tonight. And, you know, just kind of to let you know, we've said it many times before, the laws of manifestation are the laws of creation, the laws of attraction, and the law of allowing. So this is the third law of the manifestation. This is the order that I place them in. So, you know, interestingly enough, I was trying to research, make sure I covered everything, I didn't miss anything out. And I saw Abraham Hicks had it equal to mine, but they put attraction before creation. And someone else had two extra laws, intention and law of balance. I include intention in the law of creation, and the law of balance would be part of the law of allowing. So a little bit of information about this law. It's typically not the easiest to get your heart and your mind around, which is why I teach it now before setting intentions to better prepare you. The other thing is, this is a time that you need to stay focused on gratitude, joy, kicking thoughts out, and being at peace. There's a lot of clearing that happens in the law of allowing. And it's also the time when your real faith has to step in, because your blocks will pop up. Your mind will go a little gaga and bananas. So, you know, I had technology issues which made me late on creating this live video. And the law of allowing says, you know, hey, go with the flow. Don't get upset. So we got on our trusty phone, let everyone know we were going to be late, and I quite literally just laughed it through. So, you know, my camera, when I upload this to YouTube, it'll be more depixelated, less clear, because my laptop camera is nowhere near as nice as my webcam, but so be it, right? So let's jump in if we can, because we have an hour, and I don't want to overwhelm, and I don't want to be disrespectful of your time. So the law of allowing. It's the law to let things be, if you will. And a lot of people have heard the story of a man who lived in a small village, and his son gets kicked by his horse. And the villagers say, oh, this is bad. And he says, but why is it bad? And then the military comes in and takes all the young men of the village to go off to fight in battle. But they don't take his son because he's injured and he can't fight. And the townspeople say, oh, this is good. And he says, but why is this good? And it's basically, the bottom line is no judgment as to good or bad. It just is that it is. And it gives you the freedom to allow circumstances to come about without judgment. And our brains, we want to judge everything. And you're watching right now from Facebook Live, and on Facebook, judgment is hitting us left and right. Facebook memes, this is good, this is bad, this political party, that political party, this religion, that religion, this is a horrible news event, this is a good news event. But the law of allowing says none of these are true. Those are judgments. The law of allowing says, don't get me wrong on this one, don't start biting at me, but the law of allowing says, I cannot change the Republicans, I cannot change the Democrats. I can take care of, my actions. I can vote, which, yes, it's still voting in judgment, but I am not going to get caught up in those things I cannot change. Yelling and screaming, it's just bringing judgment on things that are then going to come back and interfere and become a block in your life. I know you're yelling at the screen already. I get it. But it's also same with business. Business is slow. Well, is that good or bad? Law of allowing says it is what it is. And you can use a slow time to get certain things done that you can't when times are busy. If it's busy, it's neither good nor bad. It just is. That's the law of allowing. And that's why it's the most difficult, because we want to attach labels to everything. During the law of allowing, there are things called inspired actions. And those are, you're trying to create an intention of a relationship. And you've already did your creation, you're paying attention to what you're attracting and to recreate, and you're focusing, on that. Then you've shifted all that out. Now you're just allowing. So during this time of allowing, if a friend calls you up and says, hey, come on out with me, you don't sit and go, I wonder if this is the night, am I going to meet him, blah, blah, blah. You just, if you feel inspired, you go. And that's how things will start showing up in your life. And they will be from the spiritual to the physical. And intuitive thoughts. Oh, I should call so-and-so. I should go stop here after work. I should make sure I attend this networking event. I should whatever. Inspired actions without wondering if it's right or wrong. Make sense? Thumbs up. So the consciously, you select your focus and attention during the law of allowing. Where attention goes, energy flows. So during the time of law of allowing, you really want to keep focused on positive belief, thoughts, and keeping your mind in check. Sorry, it's not comfortable. We're going to step out of our comfort zone and you're going to be okay with it. That's what you're telling your mind. You're going to stay in gratitude. Gratitude has a very high frequency energy. Be thankful for the moment. Be thankful for the day. And you're going to keep your joy, which we already know has an energy frequency right above love. And you're going to keep your peace. You're also, the law of allowing is about allowing and accepting yourself and all around, now listen closely, to be, think, believe, express, and feel authentically you and them as is. So a good example, which is my current focus of shifting out, is driving to work. When I get on 95 or even on, the regular streets, if someone's up on my butt, I'm in the mirror yelling at them, get off my butt. And people laugh at me if they're on the phone with me. My dad rolls his eyes and he actually asks if I think they can hear me. And I just say in my mind, I think they can read my lips. But what am I doing? I'm not allowing them to be them and me to just keep focused and keep going towards my destiny. I'm too worried about what's going on around me and the decisions that other people make. If they're going to hit me from behind, there's very little I can do if they're that close to me. And especially if I'm going so slow because someone in front of me is going slow. Still working on that. Hi, Patricia. I see you, love. So in the law of allowing, I need to allow those people to be where they are, the person in front to be where I am, for me to make decisions to keep my peace. So the difficulty then comes not just allowing yourself to be authentically you, but to allow others to be themselves. Forgetting the traffic example, think about coworkers, employees, staff, team members, relatives. You know, we just had Thanksgiving. Other people, you have to separate yourself, or rather your reactions, from their behavior and their actions. We want to change everybody, especially we women. We're so relational. We know if they did things different, it would be so much better for them, or better for us, you know. But also on a deeper level, if that parent would only tell me they love me, they respect me, if someone so-and-so would apologize for past, behavior and transgressions against us, we have to separate from those, separate from that need, which means work has to happen. And I've already created those videos for work to happen. And you're going to find that doing this and learning this before you set intentions and starting to do the work before we set our intentions will actually make the actual intentions, the creating and the manifesting, that much better. So you got to focus on what I call deactivating those buttons. And we all have those buttons. So-and-so always says that one thing that just really sets you off, right? And really grinds on you. And the thing is you're the one who's in charge of your reactivity to that person. That person should be able to say the sky is green and you not get mad. No, it's blue. Instead, you know what? Believe it. What do I care? It's very difficult when we're talking about very deep-seated issues. And so I have said this many times. I'll continue to say it. I'm not against therapy if it's necessary. I think that the world has created psychology, theology, philosophy, spirituality, all of that to help us. So, some things you can cure with positive thinking. Some things you can cure with some clearing exercises. Some issues you might want to talk to a professional about, and there's nothing wrong with it. A way of kind of deactivating off the cuff reactivity is to start learning during the law of allowing, to start learning to ask people why or what. What do I mean? Well, a lot of our problems with communication these days is we just make assumptions of what someone meant or why they did something. So we would probably have maybe 40, 50, 80% communication, anger, miscommunication issues if we would learn to stop and go, wait a minute. What were you thinking when you did that? What was the intention behind it? Why did you do this? I don't understand, because the results are a little irritating to me. It irritates me, and I need to know, why did you mean that? You can also say, when someone says something to you, what did you mean by that? And I have found when I start asking these questions, I find out it's totally unrelated to how I react or would react. It has nothing to do, because when we listen, we're listening through our own filters, our own issues. And if someone says something and it bumps against one of your issues, instead of biting their head off, find out what they meant. It may not have meant anything at all. I have had people misunderstand me so easily because my brain's processing all the time. And I'll be thinking one thing and what they received is totally different. Also, when others are sharing their opinions, it's not always about you. even though they're directing it at you. So many times it's their own limiting beliefs. It's their own issues. And I'm just touching the tips on all these because we're going to go into a lot of this deeper throughout the year. But I want to introduce you to this law so that we can get you better prepared before you start creating and attracting. And I had an example of about a couple months ago, I joined a group, and I think I mentioned this before. When I showed up, the woman had said, you know, that they had asked our intentions, and my intention was to create $60,000 a month income. And her response was, oh, well, I'm like you. I want to create $40,000. And she accidentally said a year income, and then goes, wait a minute, I meant a month. My response to her was laughter and going, oh my gosh, yes, because $40,000 a year is so easy. Compared to a month, you know, of course it's easy. Out of the blue, the next week, hours before joining this mastermind group about making money and increasing your income, I received an email kindly telling me I was not welcomed anymore. I was shocked. Instead of going, you suck, this is horrible, I didn't want to come anyways, you know, our 5-year-old comes out when we get rejection. Rejection hurts. I don't care how old you are. Rejection hurts. Instead, I responded back going, I'm totally shocked and confused by this email. I don't understand. I was excited about it. By responding that way, it actually opened me up to vulnerability. And when it comes to relationships, being vulnerable with other people is not easy. I don't care who you are. It is not easy. But I chose to go that route because I didn't understand and I didn't want to attack, because if I'm trying to increase and manifest intentions of income, I didn't want to block. I didn't want an obstacle in my way. So instead, I responded with authenticity. I don't understand. Well, the response shared exactly what I'm telling you now. You came off cocky. You don't realize other people there don't make $40,000 a year. You know, how dare you, you know, strut your accolades. I'm like, my accolades? I don't know that I made $40,000 this year. This whole group was about, you know, manifesting income. And to be quite frank, I was 2 months behind on my mortgage at that very day. I am currently caught up because I shifted out and got back into law of manifestation. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. So I am good now financially, but she didn't know that. So anyone else would say when someone comes at you that you're cocky or you're strutting yourself, you know, they would attack back. Instead, I simply responded, please do not comment to me anymore. I now understand by your response exactly what's going on here. She had formed an opinion about me, and it was reflective of her own limitations. I needed to learn it because I had to learn how to deal with rejection. Now, interestingly enough, my fingertips became numb quite literally 2 days later, and I'm still 2 months later dealing with it. But I'm actually going to talk to someone on Friday who's a healer about it. I'm also going to massage therapy and chiropractic. But the point is, when you allow the law of allowing to be active and you participate in it and you don't just go with the flow and let it happen, you're purposeful in it, you're not going to take everybody's opinion and absorb it as your own. You're going to stop and go, I don't think that really connects with me. You can, you know, hold the mirror up to yourself. And maybe there is a lesson for you, but maybe their opinion isn't 100% you. Makes sense? So basically, you know, the law of allowing has a lot of work for you to learn how to let things be, to receive constructive criticism well, but, you know, opinions, unwarranted criticism, how to step back and deal with it better. So let's see. I want to make sure I stay well on time here. So I'm not going to go into each of these points in detail because I'm actually going to cover quite a bit of these points, excuse me, throughout the year, because I think each one unto itself is a major topic. But when it comes to law of allowing, not only are you going to try and be less reactive, you're going to allow things to be. The biggest part is letting go. There isn't just one type of letting go in the law of attraction or a law of allowing. There's many kinds of letting go. The first kind is resistance or blocks. And the resistance or blocks are things that come up either of other people, places, events, experiences in your past and present, and even yourself. And sometimes even present or future, even future events. And that usually comes under the header of fear. But different things that are resistance and blocks, and again, this is an overview, is judgment. We've already touched on a little bit of it. I actually studied almost 2 years only on the topic of judgment. 2 years, because what I thought was judgment was just surface. Judgment is such a huge category. We judge every little thing. Anytime you find yourself going always, never, judgment, block. Those wealthy people, judgment, block. I can't do that, judgment, block. That's a limiting belief. This is, all these things are going to be a hindrance for you to get things. And the most amazing thing to me is when people say, oh, that law of attraction stuff doesn't work. Well, of course it doesn't work. You actually have to do work to clear things out of your way. So judgment comes in so many categories, but it all comes down to labels. When you label things, even labeling the sky is blue. I mean, if you really break it down, it's, science has the oxygen and blah, 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 atoms, and atoms have no color and it's a reflection, light, blah, 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 right? I'm not a scientist, but I happen to know a little bit on that topic. That's a judgment. Resentment. Do you have anyone that you resent? Do you resent yourself for anything? You got to remember, this isn't just always about other people. So getting those cleared is going to help you with enjoying your life, first of all, but second of all, to be able to manifest your intentions. Just going to touch on a little bit of others. Guilt, stress, disappointment, fear is a big one. Anger is so easy to see. Fear will hide itself. Anger, you can pretty much feel that in your body, the tension. Doubt, so major obstacles, watch last week's video on believing. Doubt is part of that video. And detaching from the how. This is huge. I'm going to teach on this and more specifically, but I was doing a manifesting course with a relative earlier this year, and I realized they were strictly focused on a how, and then they had some belief systems and fears that actually creates a block for reaching that how. So in the law of creation, we're going to talk more about how to detach from that how. How is it going to happen? The next part kind of piggybacks that, and that's the wondering when. When will it happen? When will I meet him or her? When will the money show up? When will the health show in the doctor's charts, et cetera, et cetera? Is it tonight? Will this person be the one? Is this person the one? Give me a sign. Is this post or video going to be the one to go viral and make us big? All of that wondering when is actually pulling back and holding on to the control and not being in the state of the law of allowing. So wondering when, and sometimes people even harmless say, oh, it's just harmless. I'm just sitting here daydreaming. No, that's in the attraction phase and the creation. You don't want to do that in the law of allowing. You want to let it go. You're not going to worry about how it's going to come about, when it's going to come about. You're going to focus on staying present. You're going to focus on, oh, I need to kind of shift this out. If I really want this to happen, I need to, not if I really want this, but I'm really believing for this to happen. So maybe I should do XYZ instead and just focus on XYZ. So example, I want a relationship to come about. Maybe I should clean my house. I had a friend who had stuffed animals all over her bed. And I looked at her and I said, you're believing for a mate. I don't know any man that wants to be in that bed. So that's what you can be focused on during the law of allowing. One thing I do want to stipulate, and I really do want, and it isn't just for women. I don't think it's just female energy that deals with it. But by the law of allowing other people to be, it doesn't necessarily mean, actually it does not mean, that you let them walk all over you, abuse you, hurt you, disrespect you, or take advantage of you. You need to stay in your power. The law of manifestation is an empowerment state of living. When you're creating, you're empowered to create. When you're attracting, you're empowered to say, nope, not what I meant. Let me go back and recreate. Or this is exactly what I feel I'm in, that I'm connected with. You should be able to accept that this is who they are, if it's an abusive person, and walk away when who they are steals your empowerment or your joy. So in a relationship situation, get out. If it's an abusive situation, if it's work environment or pretty much any environment, try and set your boundaries. A lot of people say, but I need the job. I need the job. That's fear. I have had where I worked as a team member, and I've had someone try and threaten my job. Say, well, you like your job if you want. And they didn't even tell me what they wanted to begin with. That's what they led with. And I'm like, really? And I actually came at him. I'm like, whoa, you have no control over my well-being and my livelihood. What is it that you want? And I'll decide with you as to the best course of action. If it's my job, of course I'm going to do it. Don't threaten my job. And I stepped and stayed in my empowerment, and it turned out what they wanted was no big deal. They just didn't know how to be a leader. So setting your boundaries is very imperative. You also want to set time limits for family members. Maybe clear your friend list, both on Facebook and in real life, for people that are time suckers, energy drainers. They're negative consistently. They never see anything positive. I always said, oh, but no one else is going to be their friend. But yes, somebody else will be their friend. You're the one hurting in the time that they're just always negative. And then speak up when someone's out of line. Just like I said with me on the job, speak up. Don't let people walk all over you. The law of allowing does not mean the law of codependency and the law where you just have to take it because they're that type of person. You still need to step up. And like I said earlier, ask questions. What did you mean by this? I don't understand. Have I been out of line with you before that you don't feel like I'm going to do whatever it is you request? So there are ways that you need to deal with it. And many times, and I came from the corporate world, so don't tell me, Elizabeth, you work for yourself, it's different. There are many times you get placed with an employee or employer, boss situation, manager situation, because you're supposed to learn something from it. You have a belief system that you deserve this. You need to change it. You have to grow. You've got to learn to take your power back. There are so many reasons why you could be in a situation, in an employer situation, where you're stuck working with someone who isn't necessarily easy to work with. Sometimes you made the mistake of saying, hey, I want to receive love. One of the best ways of receiving love is to give love. The universe says, okay, you want to receive it. This is a person you can love. Someone, Joyce Meyer, her husband, he he made the prayer of, asking for someone who really needed his love. And she's like, boy, he didn't know what he was getting when he got me. She says, I was the most difficult person to love. She was abused as a child sexually, and she was not filled with, easy flowing love in a relationship. And that's what he prayed for, but he was a good man and stuck it out. And from what I understand, because I can only make judgment based on external appearances. So, in your environment and work considerations, you really do want to pay attention and find out first if there's a lesson in it. And find out, do I need to learn something from this? Because if you don't learn something from this, guess what? You're going to go right around that mountain again. Might as well learn it now, because each lesson I noticed just seemed to get harder and harder. So learn it now so that you can step out and into your empowerment. So don't let the law of allowing become your excuse for putting up with, stuff that's not appropriate. So we're going to actually create an entire training around this next point. With the law of allowing, it's allowing things to be, people, events, circumstances. It's the letting go of various types of resistance and blocks, letting go of wondering when, letting go of being connected to people that, aren't necessarily positive for you or part of your journey anymore. But the next part is one of the most misunderstood. And it actually gets people into trouble because it then creates another block, another resistance, or it makes one of their existing blocks and resistance even stronger. So what is that? Well, the part of allowing that is called act as if. I'm sure you've heard this. You want to be wealthy, act as if you really are wealthy. You want to be in a relationship, act as if you're already in a relationship. You want to have great health, act as if you're great health. So what is the detriment or the problem that people have with act as if? Well, nobody explains it to them. So, or the teacher themselves, they don't understand that it does not really mean I want wealth, so I'm going to go pay, $3,000-4,000 of dollars for a Louis Vuitton bag, and by the way, I have my mortgage due, but I'm going to act as if, so let me go buy this designer bag. No, stop it. That's not what act as if means. It absolutely is not. What does it mean? Well, before I go into that, let me tell you why it does not mean that. So you want to manifest income. So I said, I want to have the intention of $60,000 per month income. That's well over $720,000 or $720,000 a year income. So I'm not a big Louis Vuitton fan, but we'll go with Louis because that's what I typed down. That's who everybody seems to know. But I want this income, so I misunderstand and I go act as if, I'm in the Gardens Mall. There's a Louis Vuitton store there. There's also a Tiffany store. So I go in and I get the most expensive bag. $1,000 was probably not the most expensive, but it's one of them. I get a $1,000 bag. I go home. What happens? Well, the mind sets in. I have regret. I have guilt for spending money that I didn't have to spend. I have credit card debt. I've increased my debt. I've got all of these things, but I've got my bag. No, it's going to create more resistance and more blocks. And it's not what act as if means. So, what is it that you do? Well, you say, okay, I want to create $60,000 a month income by set time. So I have a date that's going to be arriving. I can focus in my attraction and my creation phases on, well, how am I going to spend those funds? And I sit and I visualize it and, I feel it. I actually think about what it's like. I'm seeing it. I know what pattern I have. I have it up on my vision board. I know I'm in the sense of knowing that I have it and that circumstances are in motion to make it happen by this date. I'm not going out and getting in debt. I'm not going out and spending money I don't currently have on frivolous things just to give an external appearance to other people. And like I already said, I don't really want a Louis Vuitton bag. It's not my favorite designer. And when I look at my income, I say, well, I don't just want it for things. Things are great, and we already know by my picture in the manifestation group, I'm focused on luxury items, but I want to create experiences. So I can start researching how much it costs to charter a yacht. What kind of yacht do I want? Well, I already know I want a motor yacht, but how big do I want it? How many feet? How long will I be gone on it? Where will I go on it? Who will be coming with me on it? Act as if. And if I want to think about my BMW, you know, someone on a manifestation group put the logo of a Mercedes over the logo of their current car and then cut it out and taped it on. That's act as if. I'm driving my Mercedes, or in my case, my BMW. You know, if you are looking for relationships, what does that feel like? You know, you have to decide and determine what it means anyways. So, you know, going out on that date, oh, tonight, I am not going home tonight. In my mind, I am going out and I'm taking myself to dinner because my date and I have dinner plans. And you know what? You and your date could just go to the beach if you live here in Florida, or you could do something that is inexpensive. So act as if doesn't mean put yourself in more resistance and more obstacles that you have to shift out later. It's feeling and thinking and visualizing and having a knowingness that, as I said, circumstances are coming about to make it happen. It's also a time for distraction and distracting the mind. And we're going to talk about this in techniques and strategies as well. But your mind, as I said in last week's video, it is going to start chattering up like nobody's business, because your soul, which is your mind, your emotions, and your past, you know, thoughts and experiences, its goal, your soul's number one goal, is to survive and stay in existence. It likes to be comfortable. And in the world of being comfortable isn't always the world that creates manifestation. Because typically when you have an intention set, you're trying to bring about something that you don't currently see in your present circumstance. You don't see in the bank accounts and the relationships and this and that and the other. And your goal is to shift your focus to see them. And your mind goes, wait a minute. You know, that was all good when Elizabeth was talking about that belief stuff. I can do that. We can talk about this belief stuff. But now you're just being crazy by telling me you actually want to go out and create this income, or you're going to get in this relationship or make your marriage better. This guy's a jerk, or this girl doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't treat you like other people. You know, your mind is going to do whatever it can to keep you in your current state of mind and circumstance. So during the law of allowing, your goal with act as if is to distract the mind. And that is going to be something that we're going to be talking about to greater lengths. It's also a time to start removing worry and building faith, trusting. And we have actual strategies where we're going to help focus on staying present and working with the mind. And I can't remember if it was in strategies or take action items, because these are actual take action items this time. So act as if. Hopefully that makes sense to you. You're not going out and buying the Louis Vuitton. And the next and last state of the law of allowing is be and attitudes. I didn't say beatitudes from the Bible. I said be and attitudes in open to receiving. What do I mean? Okay. And actually, we're going to be wrapping this up here shortly. So attitude is major when it comes to law of allowing. Have you ever watched game shows or reality game shows, or wherever they're being interviewed about how they're participating? So like my mom watches Big Brother. I used to watch the sewing show, which I can't think of the name of it right now, on A&E, where they're in competition and then they would be interviewed. I could 9 times out of 10 tell you who was getting ready to get kicked off, all based on attitude. I also have learned my own life that a certain attitude will actually come back and bite you in the butt, quite almost literally. So what do I mean? So there is cocky and entitled versus appreciation, gratitude, and humility. Cocky and entitled, I deserve this. This is all mine. Get out of my way, people. I got this. I'm better than this. I'm going to make this. Those are all the people I know that's going to lose when I hear them on these game shows. When I hear, I am just so thankful to be part of this. I'm hoping to do my best. I'm going to, just focus on what I can do. That's humility and appreciation. Gratitude is phenomenal. Deep gratitude, deep appreciation for where you are now. That is going to help you, where cocky and entitled is going to hinder you. And it's a sense of better than others that'll get you tripped up. You'll notice that others will start getting what you desire. It never fails, never fails. I remember the very first time right after I was divorced, I started walking with someone, and we walked only a couple times, and my mind, I'm like, you know what? I got this. She's got a whole lot more to lose than I do. Oh, I've got this over her, right? That's cocky. That's entitled. And sure enough, she was the first person to lose the weight. And if I want something and I think, oh, I've got this client, I am so much better than this other person, the other person will win the job every time. And it's like it's a mirror showing to you, hey, you need to get back into appreciation, humility, and gratitude, and stay out of that cockiness and entitlement. Do you deserve the desires of your heart? Yes. It says it in the Bible. It says it in any law of attraction, manifestation teachings that you'll have out there. You do deserve to get it. But if you're the spoiled brat, I want it now, you're just not. And you'll find, like I said, you want the relationship. Oh, I'm going to get a relationship much better than she will, or faster. Boom, she's in the relationship. It just transfers right through you and off to the person that you think you're better than. It cracks me up when I'm like, dang it, shoot. So, and if our thoughts were actually put out for the world to hear, we would not be nice people. So you got to get those thoughts in check. You've got to check that attitude. So you've got to be open to receiving. And different ways, I kind of came up with some bullet points. So if you want love, you have to start seeing yourself loving. You have to start loving yourself. You have to feel and see yourself as beautiful. You have to get going outside your house and participate in your own life. Tell yourself how wonderful you are. And by the way, a friend of mine had said, hey, you should do a weight loss manifestation course. The number one way to get started on weight loss is to actually go before the mirror. I know, trust me, it's okay. Go before the mirror and see every ounce of you as beautiful. If you cannot see yourself as beautiful, losing weight will be an uphill battle. It is quite literally the very first thing I have done this time, and the first time I lost weight, is you do have to love yourself. You want money? Start savings account, $100, set it aside. Put in 25 here, 10 here. Start getting active, getting moving. Get books on learning how to be wise with money. How do wealthy people use their money? Stop hating wealthy people and learn to love them, and shift those limiting beliefs and learn a new business if that's the path that, you're excited about. Not focusing on the how, just if that's something that's exciting, start learning. You know, you want health, focus on your diet, focus on exercise, focus on, you know, doing things that you would do as though you're healthy. Norman Vincent Peale was part of last week's homework. And one of the stories he tells is Harry D. Camp. I can't do his voice. Harry D. Camp would visualize the white blood cells coming in his veins to go to battle and to fight. And he then released and became, according to Norman Vincent Peale, very healthy. So, you know, the various things that I've touched on tonight is that the introduction is this is the third and yet most difficult law. We started out in the law because I had everything, technology working against me. Even though I tested everything, I had to laugh through it because I had to be in the law of allowing to teach you about the law of allowing. So we've got to get our minds wrapped around it. You have to learn to start allowing to be. Let things be. No attachments to other people's responses. No buttons and no reactivity. And I know that everyone says, don't say no, don't say no. I'm teaching. You've got to learn this. It's the letting go part that is where the work comes in. Letting go of judgment, resentment, guilt, stress, disappointment, fear, anger, doubt, and from the how, right? It's the act as if done correctly, and the being and the attitudes of open to receiving, right? So just a couple examples of how I had the law of allowing in my life. I had manifested myself a free cruise to Alaska, all expense paid, 4-star hotel in a airport right before. It was phenomenal. Alaskan cruise. I have photos. It was great. I paid $0 for it, and I manifested it within a week. On this cruise, the people that sent me was an employer. I was a freelancer at the time, so they were a client. And they contacted the other person in the room that was on their liaison between the large group they had on the ship and themselves to, you know, in the cruise ship to make sure this cruise went off without a hitch. And she came to me because she had checked her email and said, Elizabeth, I'm really sorry, but they said when you get back, there's no job for you. Like, what? I manifested this cruise. Now you're taking my job away. I don't like that. That's not balance. You know, that's not good. So what did I do? I went to the side of the ship. Nobody around me. I found my own quiet place. And I said, you know what? I said, God, I'm not focusing on this. We together created and manifested this cruise. So we together can create and manifest another job. I'm not going to focus on it right now. Whatever will happen, will happen. I have zero control. And I forgot about it. I walked away. And wouldn't you know it, the last day of the cruise, she came back to me and said, oh my gosh, you won't believe this, but their IT guy has a referral for you and they think it's more money. Actually, it was more money, $20 an hour more. So letting go, I enjoyed my cruise and universe conspired to work for me. So I ended up with an even better job. Okay. Recently, this year, if you asked me months ago, I would be like, this year sucks. I hate this year. So I was so stressed over income that when you're in the middle of fear, it's like they say, you can't see the forest because of the trees. You just can't. I stopped and realized I'm stressing myself out. This is ridiculous. I know this stuff. And I stopped and I did. Remember I talked earlier about inspired action. So a friend I hadn't seen in years invited me to a manifesting vision board party or a manifesting board party where I ended up coincidentally connecting with someone I hadn't seen in 17 years and don't even know why we even remembered each other, you know, because it was such a brief time. And afterwards, I ended up talking to a lady that was at the party who I'm actually speaking with again on Friday. And I just unloaded on the woman. I first found out what her business was about and what, how she worked, etc. And I just let it all out. It wasn't but a few days later, a week later, that I found out what the obstacle in the business was. That has been removed, and I am so busy. This is a normal time of year that it was great to start a manifesting group, because I am usually bored at this time because nobody's focusing on websites right before the holidays. Yet I had a meeting this morning. I had another one start last week. I had another one start, 2 days before that. I had turned someone away because I couldn't get in touch with them fast enough. I had a 4-hour meeting with a prospect last week who just started it with their deposit this week. It's just rolling in because I let it all out instead of holding it in. And I took inspired action when I said, this is enough. I have to focus on it, getting this shifted. Other times I watched a television show where there was this beautiful French cottage, and I'm like, I didn't really think much about it. I'm like, ooh, I want that. It was right in the middle of the recession. I'm like, a weekend in a French cottage, I would love that. It's so stressful right now. Let's go for that. And then I went to bed and didn't think anything of it. The next day, I had a client offer me a French cottage. I kid you not, barter offer. I actually turned it down because I realized I didn't have the time to go to do it for the needed time period. I basically let another limiting belief step in and pull back. But it did. It happened just because I quickly shifted to law of allowing. A lot of people say, things manifest if you don't really want them. Well, it isn't true. That it's not that you really don't want them. It's just that you move to the law of allowing faster when you don't have your heart set to it or a fear or anything that needs to be shifted. So the reason, again, for doing law of allowing today is simply because before we start setting intentions, we really need to get in. See, I moved the camera over so now I can see myself. So I'm shifting and making, fixes and changes. So it's easier to allow myself to be when I don't see myself. So the reason we're starting with the law of allowing is so that you can start preparing for your intentions coming. You can start looking at the list of what do you need to give forgiveness on? What are obstacles? What are ways that you can let go? How can you act as if? And really prepare. So in the next 2 weeks, we are actually going to focus on intention. And we're going to start next week focusing on what intention is and, how do we get started? And then the following week, we are going to set our intentions. Yay! I know it's drawn out, but there's purpose for everything, and I hope that you're getting something from it. I don't know who actually showed up and stayed, and I saw some hearts going, so I enjoyed that. We will be posting the video. Actually, I'm under an hour, which is fantastic. But I'm posting the video on YouTube, and it stays live in the group. Oh, I see hearts. There's people here. Yay! Hi, everyone. If you're on YouTube, come and follow us in the group. We've got a great group of people. If you are in the Facebook group, go to YouTube and subscribe. And when the videos get uploaded, you'll actually see that when they are live or when the videos are there, so you can watch them in your own leisure. So I like seeing the hearts. Hi, everybody. So, and YouTube people will be back on the webcam next week. Technical difficulties, we allowed the law of allowing to go with my video. Oh, I see Patricia. I think everybody needs to follow Patricia. She has great breakthrough videos, and she has a beautiful accent on top of it. So bonus. Anyways, this is your Law of Attraction 101 teaching on the law of allowing. Tomorrow will be techniques and strategies, and day after that will be your take and see action items. So have a great night, and I will post the YouTube video channel. It's Live Joy Today. So I will post the channel in the comments section, Patricia. I just saw your questions. I should have asked, does anyone have any questions? I was so making sure I, followed time, I forgot. But if you go to YouTube and type in Live Joy Today, then we should come up. So it's Live Joy Today YouTube channel. And I see Debbie has kind of stuck it out. Yay. Hi, Debbie. Debbie, I've got gray hair showing. I need you. Debbie's awesome down in Lantana. Alrighty, you guys have a great night. Take care, or day, wherever you're at. Alrighty.